I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? I just wanted to get on here and do this stream on Nowhere Presgrove. I did a stream the other night on part one of this, so I thought I'd get on here and do the second part tonight. I hope everybody's doing okay. Happy Saturday. I was on here earlier and I did a little bit of the Idaho 4 stuff, and I thought I'd get on here and do something different tonight since I did two of those last night. If you're a returning member to the stream, thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving my channel a chance. And thank you for understanding the hard work that it takes to put these things together for you. If you're new to the channel, I hope that you find something that interests you, something that you're able to dive into and to be able to get some kind of information from. There's plenty of videos in my library that range from Idaho 4 to substance abuse to life skills to old cases, active cases. So thank you everybody for continuing to show up. Hey Justice, how are you doing? Well, the other night I made a mistake, and before I start the video, I'm gonna load the map to show you the mistake that I made, and I didn't realize the mistake until after I had presented um, the live stream. I'm glad that I've realized it. As you can see on this map, the place that I took most of the time talking about was right here, Terrell, Oklahoma. Well, Noah was actually from Comanche. So he was found north of Terrell on this highway, which would be Highway 81. So he was found on this highway. And a little recap on the case is he was found naked with mismatched shoes on, and he was found with numerous bruises and contusions and abrasions and everything else going on. I'm doing pretty good, thank you, Justice. I'm feeling a little better than I have been the last couple days. And this is Comanche, which is a total different look than Terrell, Oklahoma. Um, as you can tell, there's a lot more businesses. There's a lot more type of situation that would make the town a little more able to sustain multiple lives in it. Car wash. So this is Rodeo Drive or Rodeo Drive, whichever way they pronounce it over there. Um, I don't know exactly where his house was or anything like that, but this is the town that he was from, Comanche. As you can tell, um, in the pictures where he's wearing the football jersey, it says Comanche. They have a lot of these Love's truck stops here where I'm from. They're usually on the interstate. I've never seen a Love's like this, ever. They're usually truck stops. So this is like a Love's convenience store. There's a garage here. And I guess up here at the light, 81 is continued straight. So it looks like there is some oil field business there. These trucks are out of Houston, Texas. Looks like they're moving a rig. So, as you can tell, it's a bigger city or a bigger town than what I showed you Terrell was. The houses are a little more upkept. And this is US 81. As you can see, there's a lot of things to do here. There's a Sonic. There's a lot of businesses, a lot more businesses than what you saw in Terrell. See, there's a Dollar General Market. So I guess that's a grocery store. I've never seen one of those where I'm from, honestly. That's pretty interesting to see different things like that. So, this isn't where he was found, but I just wanted to show you the location of the road. See, this is US 81. No, this is Old Highway 81. So this is US 81. This is the 2-lane highway that they were talking about. I'm going to show a video that kind of goes over a little bit of this. So let me take this down for a minute. And let me show the video. Justice, you and I are the only ones in here. So thank you for being in here. And here we go.
lonely highway is no longer being investigated as a murder, despite his gruesome injuries. Noah Presgrove was only wearing shoes when his body was discovered on a deserted stretch of US 81 near Terrell, Oklahoma. That's about 100 miles from Dallas, Texas. News Nation has learned about the events in the hours before his death. He had been drinking at a house party with friends over the Labor Day weekend last year. The 19-year-old had also rolled an ATV that he was driving with friends earlier that day. He returned to the house after that accident. He got in a fight with his girlfriend, and then he left, never to be seen alive again. Now, Presgrove suffered a fractured skull, broken ribs. His teeth were knocked out, scattered near his body. Tuesday, the county's medical examiner revealing his cause of death as multiple blunt force injuries. While the report answers how he died, the manner of death, what caused those blunt force injuries, remains a mystery. Also this week, after almost 8 months of silence, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, who is leading this investigation, gave its first update saying that they are not investigating his death as a murder. But the investigation is not over. Earlier tonight, I had the chance to speak with Noah Presgrove's sister, Madison Rawlings. Here's part of that interview. I would like to ask you how you and your family are doing first. How are you coping with all of this?
We're pretty strong. I know that we are a resilient group for sure. So I think we're handling it as best as that we can and just trying to stay hopeful and optimistic.
Hopeful and optimistic. What are you hoping the outcome will be? What does that look like going forward?
I'm just hoping that we get it all tied up and we get everything solved and all the questions that we're needing. I'm hoping that it's way less intense that we can't imagine it to be.
Yeah.
I hope that we find out that Noah went fast and that he wasn't in a situation where it would have been a lot worse. Does it make sense?
What questions do you have surrounding what happened?
I just want to know, like, how he died. I want to know what scenario was played out that caused his death and what happened. I just want to know what happened.
And we're nearly 8 months out. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol finally providing this update that they are not investigating Noah's death as a murder. What are your thoughts on the handling of your brother's death?
I think that having some communication means there's progress. So with them saying that they're not investigating it as a murder, there's so many other things that they are able to classify it as. So maybe they have just made some progress and were able to give us that kind of update.
So we have this autopsy report released this week that shows that Noah died from blunt force injuries. It rules out him being hit by a car at that spot where he died. He was basically found unclothed. He was hit in the head, broken ribs. His teeth were knocked out. Despite all of that, though, your brother's death not being investigated as a murder, what do you think of that? What do you suspect may have happened that night?
Well, I don't want to just point my finger at anybody that I think could be involved or have any theories that are victimizing other people too, because in the end, Noah had passed away and nothing makes sense to us. So I don't really like to just throw theories out there, because if you follow the Justice for Noah Facebook page, you will get plenty of those. You can find plenty of theories everywhere, but I do think that something happened at the party that he was attending the night before, and I just think that people know and they need to speak up.
Tell me more about that. What do you suspect may have happened?
I like her attitude, and I like the fact that she's willing to say that. Unlike a lot of other families that, when they've lost their loved ones, they're not as articulate with their words as this individual is. And it's refreshing to hear somebody who is just focused on what the situation is, which is the murder of her brother.
At that party. And we know that one of your family members told News Nation he believes foul play was involved. Do you agree with that?
I'm not going to disagree. I have no reason to disagree, but I know there's people out there. They claim to be Noah's best friends. They claim to love Noah, and I hope with my whole heart that is actually what happened, is that they were not involved at all. But at this point, I can't rule it out.
What is your message for people tonight who maybe were at that party, people who had their phones out, taking images, taking photos, who may have seen something and are not saying anything? What is your message to them tonight?
I just hope that they can find it in their hearts to just do the right thing. And if you're doing the right thing, then that's all that we can ask of you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And
like I said, that's very mature on her part, that she wasn't speculating anything, that she wasn't, talking bad about other people that she knows in that community. And that she also knows that her brother has some friends, some close friends that she didn't throw under the bus either, which is which is very mature on her part. I'm going to load up this Facebook page that has some images of the young man. And this is provided by Daily Mail. Good evening, Aquarius. Thank you for being here. These are some of the images that were taken of Noah. As you can tell right there, he's at the party. He's just wearing a baseball hat and some shorts. And he's with, interacting with somebody. So here we go.
Found dead on a desolate highway on September 4th. Recent autopsy results reveal the full...
See, I don't know if you caught that, but he's barefoot right here. He's barefoot. So I don't know if you caught that. Keep watching.
Extent of the Oklahoma teen's horrific injuries suffered from that night. These are the last moments Noah Presgrove was seen alive. Video captured by friends show him celebrating Labor Day weekend at a 4-day party, with everyone unaware of the impending tragedy. Just hours after these videos were taken, Noah was found dead and naked on a highway a mile away. The 19-year-old suffered dozens of horrific injuries from broken bones to smashed teeth, brain damage.
So he doesn't look like a small guy. I mean, he's pretty good size. So they're obviously playing games there, doing all kinds of crazy stuff that, young adults do. And he looks like he's in good spirits. They were drawing all over him. In the autopsy, they did discuss a drawing on his inner thigh or on his thigh. So that could have been from this party. They did talk about a chain being found there at the scene and a pair of shorts. I don't know if it would have been these shorts or if it would have been the khaki short that you saw him in a while ago. Nonetheless, as you can tell, he wasn't wearing a shirt. He wasn't wearing shoes at this point. So he was just kind of hanging out.
And bleeding inside his skull and chest before he died. Earlier this week, his autopsy report gave a chilling insight into the extent of his injuries and his final moments. Presgrove suffered external injuries to his face and head that night. The most serious was the chunk of scalp that was torn off his head all the way down.
Okay, right here it says, it gives you the inside of the injuries. It says the external injury to the head, and I talked about the other night in my live, bleeding from both ears, 4 by 2 inch of scalp torn off of the bone on the scalp, grazed at front, cuts of the inner ear, across left eyebrow, corner of the left eye, left cheek, left side of the neck, right down to the head, right back of the neck, the mouth, the upper and lower lip split. His teeth were knocked out, broken fragments, cut on the left side of the tongue. So these are some severe injuries.
Down to the bone. The piece of scalp and hair was found on the highway feet away. Many of Presgrove's teeth were also broken, and some were knocked out and found on the road. Alongside brain injuries, skull fractures, and a broken neck, Noah suffered fractures.
So these are illustrations of the blades. Both shoulder blades were fractured. 10 rib fractures in the back, which would have been the top half of the back. Non-vertebrae fractured in the upper and middle back. So did he land on his back? Because this seems like the most extensive injuries were on the back side, and for these two to be simultaneous in distance, you would wonder, did he land on his left side on his back?
To 9 vertebrae in his spine and 10 broken ribs. Presgrove had comparatively minor external injuries to the front of his body. He also had road rash above his upper back, with black material from the road lodged in the wounds.
See, so this is where the ribs, the back muscle, the clavicle area would have been broken. So look how severe that was, and look how these areas, and if you can remember it, there's a big old gash in the scalp and everything on both ears and on the left side of his body. So did he land on his back?
There were also grazes on both buttocks, despite the shorts found near his body being undamaged. Presgrove's body was found between the 2 chalk lines and teeth within the circles. His blood alcohol level was 0.14 and no drugs were in his system. Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner Leonardo Roquero ruled Presgrove died of multiple blunt force injuries, but how he got them was undetermined. Dr. Stuart Fisher, an internist doctor, examined the autopsy report and said the injuries were so catastrophic and varied that him being mortally wounded in a severe beating was the most likely cause. He also said it was unlikely one person caused all Presgrove's injuries because they were far in excess of what was needed to kill him. Noah's family, pictured with his sister Madison Rawling, were confused by aspects of the report, but said they had confidence in the investigation. Presgrove's family also complained that his friends all claimed to have no idea what happened to him and how he ended up dead by the roadside just hours later. Our thoughts go out to Noah Presgrove's loved ones during this unimaginably difficult time.
Another young adult gone too soon. You know, it's sad to see these young adults have their lives taken so quickly. You know, you never wonder at 19 whether you're going to be alive the next day. At least I didn't. I don't know about y'all. I didn't worry about being alive the next day. Felt 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Daily Mail talks about the first cop to arrive at the chilling scene where Oklahoma teen Noah Presgrove was mysteriously found dead. Reveals what he saw and the new details about the 911 calls. A teenager who was seriously found dead on a lonely highway had little blood around his body. Despite his horrific injuries, the first cop on the scene says. So, if an individual has very little blood around their body, it is almost determined that the body was moved to that location. Not saying that that's what happened, but most of the time that's what the medical examiners and the investigative teams state. Said Noah Presgrove, 19, was wearing only shoes when his body was discovered on a desolate stretch of US 81 near Terrell, Oklahoma on September 4th. He was also seen alive about a mile away at a 4-day, 22nd birthday party with friends over the Labor Day weekend and was heavily documented on social media. Jefferson County Undersheriff Jimmy Williams was the first policeman to arrive at the scene after 2 motorists saw the body and called 911. Noah Presgrove was only wearing shoes when his body was recovered. Let me show you the images. So we watched that video just now. That is where his body was found, in between these two circles. Right here. Naked with only shoes on. As you can see, the party house is not that far from where he was found. So what would have made him walk out towards 81? What could have possibly been so important for him to take off walking, or for them to do something at the party and then take off and dump him there? It's just terrible to think about. But it doesn't surprise me about young adults these days. They have no understanding for human life anymore, it seems like. Let's listen to the 911 call.
What is your emergency?
Hey, on Highway 81, just north of Terrell, in between Terrell and Ryan, Oklahoma, it's probably about 3 miles north of Terrell. Dropping down the road, and I had a bunch of cars behind me, but it looked like somebody got hit, like somebody walking down the highway laying on the shoulder of the road.
It looks like somebody's laying in the road?
Like on the shoulder, like maybe they were walking and somebody hit them, unless it was a deer. It looked like a body.
Okay. You said so on Highway 81.
Between Ryan and Terrell, just north of Terrell, it's probably about 3 miles. It's kind of in a low spot.
Okay. And is that gonna be? I'm trying to think which way that highway runs. Is it gonna be on your east, west, north, or south? I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
It goes north and south. It runs out of Duncan.
Okay. So what side of the road is that on?
It'd be on the west side of the road.
Okay. Let me see who I have on duty to go check that out.
That's it. It looked awful odd.
911, what is your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I was driving to work. I'm south of Terrell, or north of Terrell, south of Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's somebody laying dead along the road. They look naked. I'm staying back.
Okay, I just had 2 calls on that, and I have a deputy headed that way.
All right. Well, I'm sitting here blocking the road.
Oh, are you there waiting? Okay.
Because he's the body's laying right on a white line.
Oh, it is a body. He's naked, and he's laying on the white line. He's naked.
I turned around because I just about hit it because there's a deer run across the road, and I'm like, first I thought it was a deer, and I was talking to a guy I work with. I'm like, I don't think that's a deer.
Yeah, that's what my first caller said. Thought it was a deer, and then when he looked back and he said, "No, there's no way that's a deer."
No, and it actually looks like there's a piece of clothing maybe laying in the middle of the road. Now, I don't want to get too close.
Jeremy right now. No, this is another 911 call that's looking at it.
Oh, she's already been in touch with Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, Jeremy's going to head that way.
Jeremy's heading that way. She's on the
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So you're staying there, or?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make sure nobody runs it over or anything else.
That's terrible. I was just thinking, what if he got beat up at that party really badly? And I mean, it was just dramatic. He was still alive. They put him in the back of a truck. And as they were driving him either home, because it looks like it was heading north of Terrell. So he's from Comanche. So they were driving him home. And maybe he started back up and they shoved him out of the truck. Does that sound feasible? I mean, that's how close he was to the road. And there's some blood right there. So you would think that if the individual was here and they threw him out or he bounced out or whatever happened to him to end up on this road, there would definitely be more blood than that. Wouldn't you think? As you saw, there was very little blood. There's a little blood there, but there's not any blood where the body was found, which was right here. And why is that? That's the first guy that found him. There's Presgrove with his sister that just talked a while ago. And here's some of the fractures, some of the skull fractures. I just don't understand what would have caused this to end up like this. Bleeding above the skull, bleeding under the skull, and bleeding around the brain. Or could something have happened on that ATV and he started acting aggressive and then people just started beating him up? Do you think he was hit by a car or a truck? The more that I've watched on this and the more I've researched on it, I don't think he was hit. I believe that something happened at that party and he was probably dumped here. See, look at all the internal damage that he had. You know? His spleen, the stomach, internal bleeding around the heart, chest, both lungs were punctured. That's a lot of damage. I mean, unless he, unless they lied about the ATV, not landing on him or whatever and killing him, maybe that's what killed him. And they just went and dumped him over there. 'Cause he was a bigger guy. It says Presgrove's best friend Jack Newton, who insists he was asleep when the teenager died, summarized the basic chain of events to a friend weeks after the party. It says, he wasn't beat up. I loved him more than anyone and want justice for him so bad he deserved it. And I'm really still thinking it had something to do with, I guess, hit and run. What about him being in the shower? So, according to everyone that was awake, all of our close friends said that he wrecked my side by side I had there around 3. And he was super dirty and super drunk, so a couple of girls helped him to shower. And when he got out, he wanted to sleep in the girl's bed, and she had said no. That upset him, and he walked off. So could that have been a motive right there? He wanted to sleep with the girl in the bed, and she said no, so he got up and walked off. Would that explain why he was naked? Yes. He was pretty athletic. He played football, basketball, and something else. It said Williams arrived at 6:18 a.m., about half an hour after the emergency calls at 5:43 a.m. and 5:48 a.m. and investigated Presgrove's body. He only took a brief look before focusing on securing the area, but told Daily Mail there was not enough blood for it to be starkly noticeable. I didn't observe a lot of blood. From what little I was there checking. Once we determined he was in fact dead, I was just securing the location. Williams couldn't say if there was more or less blood than you would expect from Presgrove's injuries, as he was not a medical expert, but it was not an obvious amount. His observations aligned with Tyler Hardy, the first driver to stop at the scene, Presgrove's best friend Jack Newton, and others who said there was very little blood around the teen's body. A medical expert told Daily Mail that the injuries detailed in Presgrove's autopsy report, there would have been a lot of blood at the scene. Many friends, family, and locals believe Presgrove didn't die where he was found and was instead killed somewhere else and his body dumped on the highway. I don't see that being far-fetched at all. Once again, this is where the body was found, in between these two circles. And up the road up here, there was teeth found in a chain, his chain. So, Ronnie says, I think he was a wrestler as well. Yeah, I think so too. Just couldn't think of it. It's just tragic. This is just. There's the map again where he was found and where the party was. So he wrecked that side by side. I mean, it sounded to me like that was the beginning to a lot of this stuff. Because if he wrecked it and he got injured really badly, it seems like these young adults don't want to face any consequences. Their first thing is to clean up the crime scene or make it look like something else. Williams also said Presgrove was not lying in the fetal position, as some people who saw the body recalled. He was laying somewhat on his side, but I wouldn't say he was in a fetal position. No, he said, saying his legs were straight and his arms not tucked under his body. The undersheriff said that there were only 5 people at the scene when he arrived, and he was joined by Sheriff Jeremy Wilson 6 minutes later. Along with the 2 motorists who called 911 were 2 Terrell Rural Volunteer Fire Department officers, including a chief who arrived at 6:15 in Newton. Williams said from when he arrived to when he left at 8:17, only the sheriff and Oklahoma Highway Patrol troopers came to the scene. We kept traffic moving except for people who needed to be there. Not long after OHP arrived, we shut the road down completely. I mean, there's no blood there. If he landed on that road, there would have been possibly skin, dermis, skin, all kinds of stuff. Because if you've ever scraped your knee on the road or something like that, you understand that there's going to be a lot of stuff left over. I wonder if he'd left the house and was walking home. There's no telling. The sheriff department released audio of the 911 calls on Monday, and Williams cleared up some unanswered questions about them. The 2 callers were Golfmark Energy Field Supervisor Tyler Hardy and a semi-truck driver, also named Tyler, who didn't give his name to the 911 operator. 3 calls were placed from the area, but one was just 20 seconds of static that Williams said was Hardy on a bad signal. He had a bad connection, and he had to recall. I confirmed it was the same phone number. The first call was from Tyler, whom Hardy earlier said was a trucker, who turned around in Terrell about 2 miles north and came back to the scene. I had a bunch of cars behind me, but it looks like someone got hit, like somebody walking down the highway. They're lying on the shoulder in the road. Yeah, like on the shoulder, like maybe they were walking and somebody hit them, unless it was a deer, but it looked like a body. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past anything because I'm not a medical professional. So if he was hit by a vehicle, I mean, I would think there'd be more blood, though. I don't know, though. And maybe he was hit and had more internal injuries, and that's how he fell. And there's the skull fractures, there's the brain injuries. If he was hit, he was pretty hit pretty hard. The clothing was a pair of white shorts, according to the autopsy report, that some of the Presgrove's friends said he was last seen wearing. Williams said by the time he arrived, the shorts were folded near Presgrove's body, as they were described in the autopsy report. Well, maybe one of the guys that called 911 grabbed them from the middle of the road, because he did say there's a pair of clothing in the middle of the road. So maybe he grabbed them, folded them, and put them by his body. I mean, that makes sense. It is believed the shorts were retrieved and folded by one of the volunteer firefighters in a few minutes between Hardy's call and Williams arriving to prevent vehicles from running them over. There you go. Hardy last month said no one touched the body between when he saw it and when police arrived. I was the one who found the body, so yes, I can say 100% that nobody messed with Noah. I was the first person there, he said. I know who and what I saw. The married father of two was driving south in the darkness in an early shift when he spotted something in the headlights of his Ford F-150 work pickup truck. He pulled over to take a closer look and realized he was looking at the body of a young man dead by the side of the road. That is just, it says less than 10 minutes after both he and the truck driver called 911, Presgrove's best friend Jack Newton arrived. Jack was the only person who walked up to Noah, and he told me who it was until the Terrell Fire and Jefferson County Sheriff showed up. Jack also told Daily Mail that there were minimal blood at the scene, only a little coming out of his ears and on the top of his head where part of his scalp was torn away to the bone. That's weird. How did his best friend know? He called and broke the news to his father, Caleb Newton, who hurried to the scene about 40 minutes down the highway from his home in Comanche. Jack said he woke up ready to go fishing and was told his best friend was missing. I figured maybe he got a ride or something. Noah's done that before. Got mad and left. He was not one you usually worry about. I wasn't really thinking about it. Jack was supposed to go fishing with his father that day and text him at 5:53, coincidentally the same time as the 911 call, letting him know he was on his way. I'll meet you up there at the lake. Can you bring me a hat, please? Someone messed with mine after I went to bed. Caleb replied, okay. Jack assumed Presgrove was fine and left for the lake, driving north until he saw the semi-trailer and pickup by the side of the road. There's Presgrove's best friend, Jack. Too many Jacks. Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner Leonardo Roquero ruled Presgrove died of multiple blunt force injuries, and how he got them was undetermined. So here's another situation. Undetermined. No, I don't know the speed limit on that road. I mean, but the guy that called the 911 call in, he said that he almost hit a deer, and that's when he saw the body. So it just goes and basically tells you what we talked about. It said there were no vehicle parts or debris observed on the scene, indicating Presgrove was almost certainly not hit by a car. Okay. So there was no vehicle parts or no broken lights or anything like that. The shorts he was wearing was undamaged despite the grazes on his buttock, and the slip-on shoes had grass and other debris lodged in them. Presgrove had a blood alcohol level of 0.14, but no drugs in his system. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. No one was hurt, but he was dirty enough that two of his friends gave him a shower, and he changed into a different pair of shorts and argued that birthday girl about whether he could sleep in her bed. After being told no, he wandered off to clear his head and wasn't seen again until a passing motorist spotted his body and called 911. Newton, who insists he was asleep when Prescott died, summarized it to a friend weeks after the party. All of the close friends said he wrecked my side-by-side I had there around 3, and he was super dirty and super drunk, so a couple girls helped him in the shower. When he got out of the shower, he wanted to sleep in one of the girls' beds, and she said no, and that upset him, and he walked off. But the details are very much in debate as to whether Presgrove was killed where he was found or even left the party alive. So what do y'all think? Those of you in the chat, what do y'all think? Y'all believe that he was killed at the party and then just dumped on the side of the road? Or maybe not even dumped, maybe just placed there. Because those injuries could have been done from the wreck of the side by side. You know, the scalp damage, the scrapes, the contusions. I believe somebody knows what happened. They're just not, they're not talking. And here's another article. This one says Oklahoma teen Noah Presgrove was likely beaten to death by a group and his body moved and dumped on a lonely highway after a 4-day party. A teenager mysteriously killed in a rural town was probably beaten to death by a group and his body moved and dumped on a highway, a doctor believes. He was only wearing 2 mismatched shoes when his body was found September 4th. He was at a 4-day birthday party. Doctor Stuart Fletcher, an internal doctor with extensively experience in emergency medicine, reviewed the report for DailyMail.com. He said the injuries Prescott suffered were so catastrophic and varied that him being mortally wounded and a severe beating was the most likely cause. The poor kid never had a chance. These injuries are not amendable to surgery at all, not at the same time. There are 5 and possibly up to 10 potentially life-ending injuries. It's just not one. Doctor Fisher said the skull fractures were the most serious injuries and were so severe they were unlikely to have been caused by one impact. There was one extensive skull fracture running across the head, splitting the middle base of the skull into 2, and multiple similar or smaller ones, describing his head as being caved in. He had about 20 milliliters or 68 ounces of blood pulled inside his head from a brain bleed and damage to 4 parts of the brain itself. Excuse me. Presgrove's autopsy also revealed air in both his cranial cavity and spinal cord, extremely rare conditions only caused by massive head trauma. This is very unusual for air to enter the skull. My guess would be injury by several different things at the same time, namely several different people at the same time, he said. Dr. Fisher said it was unlikely one person caused all Presgrove's injuries because they were far in excess of what was needed to kill him, unless it was a crime of passion. They would have had to keep going a lot longer than needed, like those cases where people are stabbed 50 times. It's very difficult to break a skull, he said. He said the broken neck Presgrove suffered where C1 vertebrae was displaced could have killed him in itself if it was bad enough. It's like when someone is hanged by a rope. He was a tall, big guy. I mean, he wasn't no little guy, so it probably would have taken a lot of people to beat him down. That's sad. Dr. Fisher was shocked to see there was little mention of blood at the scene and hear how multiple sources told Daily Mail there was almost none when they saw his body laying on the roadside. Really? Well, maybe the body was moved. There would be pools of blood, and if you're not seeing that, an explanation could be that that's what happened. If you're hit with enough force to crack a skull and cause a basal skull fracture, you would think there's something at the scene that's more than a paper cut. But if there's nothing, it would mean the body was moved. Another leading theory police are investigating is that Presgrove fell or was pushed from the back of a pickup truck and his head hit on the road. It's possible, but noted the lack of serious injuries to Presgrove's lower body, which only had a few cuts and scrapes. If he was thrown from a car, you might get the body rolling and therefore injuries throughout the whole body, as opposed to being confined to one area. Even if he hit the road head first, it would distribute the injuries up and down the body. He'd have broken legs from falling on the road. He said Presgrove would have bled to death, but his breathing would also have affected by his torso injuries. He would have died very quickly in minutes, not seconds. There would be lots of blood, he said. Both lungs were punctured and he had internal injuries to the heart, spleen, and stomach, with internal bleeding at least 1,550 milliliters, about 3.2 pints. A man Presgrove's size has about 12.6 pints of blood and would generally die after losing half of it, though as little as a third can lead to death. The absence of huge blood pooled near the body when the internal bleeding was only about a quarter of the body volume could imply the body was moved. So it goes and tells you the injuries that we've already talked about. So possibly that situation of him wanting to sleep in the birthday girl's bed made someone angry. And that's why a lot of them started, a lot of drinking and maybe people drugging or whatever. Um, you just don't know what you're doing while you're under the influence. See, that's further away is still a spot of blood, the only blood found at the scene despite the extensive injuries all over his body. Look at that little bit of blood right there. That little bit right there. That's all that was found, that little bit. This is where I think the body was found, and these are where the teeth were found. where it's marked. See, there's just a little bit of blood right there. It says the blood plot was dozens of feet away from the body, which is opposite the cross. So that's not a lot of blood at all. Another concerning photo appears to show a teenager holding a rifle with Presgrove visible in the foreground. See, they've already wrote all over him. How could all those kids not know? All those kids partying at this house. Wonder if they found anything at the house. See, the girls are writing all over his lower back and everything. There's his family. Poor kid. He looks like this one kid I grew up with. Right here. So the blood was further that way. See, there was a lot of people at that party. 4 days worth? The end of summer with a raging party at his birthday girl's home. I mean, it could be anything that turned into a violent situation. It says, bro, everyone that saw Noah at the viewing, including me, saw his face was beat up bad. Bro, I know what a beat up face looks like. Definitely not just me saying that. Everyone that saw him said that. Looks like he got beat up by 5 dudes. A friend who wasn't at the party questioned one of the teenagers in the weeks that followed about what happened, the cause of his facial injuries. I mean, all these things are suspicious to say the least. That's what I would have thought too, Aquarius. I would have thought that they would have searched where the party was. Or maybe around there, you know? No, he wasn't found far away from the house. This is where his body was found. There's a little bit of blood. One of his teeth was found here. See, there's the blood. Look at the distance. There's the cross. There's a thugged out gangster. Seems like everybody's a wannabe gangster these days. I was going to say something else, but I caught myself. So, you know, especially when they're drinking, they're all tough then. I mean, you can't even fault whoever threw this party, because this guy was 19 years old. So no telling how old people were at that party. They weren't young kids, so you can't fault what went on at that house, even though you'd like to. It's sad, to say the least. But I'm going to continue to look into this case and continue to present what I find or what I hear. No, but they all think they're gangsters. Just because they got that gun, just because they got that piece. I mean, that break in the scalp could have been caused by a weapon. Could have been caused by the butt of a gun. I have a nice cut, probably about that long, that was caused by the butt end of a rifle. Somebody hit me in the back of the head with a rifle butt, and it it cut it right open. So, wow. So I don't know. I don't know what direction the police are really turning. If they really believe, I know they said it was undetermined. So you have to wonder and ask yourself, what really went on that night at that party? I'm sure they interviewed everybody at that party, asked them what was going on. They asked them if, who was the last person to see him. If anybody saw him walking up that dirt road. With all those people there, you would believe that somebody saw something, right? It wouldn't have been that basic that nobody saw nothing. Wouldn't you agree? Nobody saw nothing. But when you're intoxicated, that gives you an excuse to say, well, I didn't see anything. I didn't notice anything. Like that one dude said, I was asleep. His best friend was asleep. How convenient. Just like in other cases, they were asleep too. Isn't that an easy way out? I was asleep. Well, can you verify that? Can somebody verify that you were asleep? Me too. Me too. I would have known about it. I would have been walking around all over. I would have probably been hanging with the dude. Yeah, it was really early in the morning, about 5:30. You know. So I believe somebody knows something, and if you do, more than what's been discussed, suggest that you contact Oklahoma State Police. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you enjoy what I present, please hit the like button or the dislike button. It's already been an hour. I'll probably be back tomorrow to do the Serenity Sunday. I'm not sure what time though. So, you guys, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will keep an eye on this case and continue to report what I see and what I hear. Y'all have a wonderful night. Maestro, cue that music.